Remember when Metallica recorded S&M with the San Francisco Symphony? Am I the only one that's remembering that?
Oh, now that you mentioned it, I do remember them doing an orchestral thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They called it S&M.
Special.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
Symphony and Metallica.
Yeah. Together at last.
Yes.
The collaboration we were all begging for.
Yeah, just hopping on. Dear Lord, why? How could you fall off so crazily?
I think Metallica. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Oh,
We'll get there in a
keep
second.
going.
Oh God, I don't even know. There's so many things to unpack, to talk about, to process. The show is called Music Talk. I'm Alex. I'm an asshole on the internet that talks about music just like so many other people. Like and subscribe if you like this YouTube video. Kris is on this show too. He's a fucking hack fraud. How are you, Kris?
check out my SoundCloud, bruh.
Check out that SoundCloud. Like and subscribe to check out his SoundCloud. We got Phil Healy on the show. Phil, welcome. I'm so sorry for you. You came at a really interesting time.
Yeah, I guess. Hello. Thank you for allowing me to share in this pain.
Yes. So Kris decided that a great thing we should do after exploring our comfort albums, our albums that make us feel nice and soft and fuzzy, is to pick 3 albums that are generally lampooned, regarded as pretty bad albums.
Yeah, international lampoons over here.
Mm-hmm.
Some serious missteps, and so we got 3 albums that we really I think, I'd say 2 albums that really exemplify bad judgment, and one that's we'll get to in a sec. But just as a primer, when we talk about bad albums, I'm curious from your guys' perspective, what do you think actually constitutes a bad music album? Because you got a lot of people in the world of the Twitter verses and other verses that say you can't say an album is bad because it's subjective, that it's art and therefore art is subjective, and you can't actually declare that it's a bad album. So what do you guys think actually constitutes a bad album?
I'll let you go first, Phil.
Oh, I mean, well, thank you. So I'll set it up so you guys can knock it down. But I don't know. I mean, I agree that, I'm not of the philosophy that all art is art, so it's not subjective to any criticism. But those hippy-dippy fascists who tell you otherwise, no, if to you contextually, if you're like, yeah, I just don't like it or I'm not feeling it. Like, I love, sorry, those are my dogs and they go fucking crazy over anything. Man. And also, they love Lou Reed, so today was a day for them. Hold on, one second. Oh my God.
Where my dog's at?
Who let the dogs out?
Wrangled one up.
Ride or die.
No, a bad album is just like, you're like, oh, this sucks. And I love like Primus, and that's like a big thing where it used to be cool to say Primus sucks because that's what they did, and then in the last like decade they're like, please don't say that to us anymore.
I mean, I kind of thought their last 2 albums did kind of suck.
Well, that's what I hear. And they had like 3 albums that I didn't know fucking about, and I saw them in concert recently. I'm like, what is this?
They're doing adaptions now. The last album was like an adaptation of some like kids book from the 70s about like goblins.
Didn't they do like a Willy Wonka?
They did.
That was the one before it. Yeah. So
was that any good? It looked like they played one song from it. It wasn't bad. It just seemed like more kind of symphonic weirdness.
I mean, honestly, I don't even want to fuck with it because I don't want to hear the Willy Wonka songs. Just
fair enough.
Like,
just like from a creep factor, or
no, just because it's I don't know. It's sing-songy is the way I would describe those songs, and so I don't know.
Kris, what if Wayne Coyne, after producing this wonderful single about beer, shows up and he's like, "Hey guys, me and Flamin' Lips, we're gonna make us a Willy Wonka album, and we're gonna have chocolate cannons at the concerts, and it's gonna be a wacky shenanigans good time. Are you there or are you not?"
I mean, honestly, I don't know if I'm there, but you did put the idea in my head that like if in some alternate universe Tim Burton did Willy Wonka with Wayne Coyne instead of Johnny Depp, and it also didn't suck at the same time, it'd be pretty good.
Wayne Coyne as Willy Wonka is pretty apt, isn't it?
Yeah, it would maybe be better than Johnny Depp. I don't know.
It seems pretty accurate too.
Yeah,
kind of as how his progression as a human being would go.
Yeah,
his disintegration into madness.
Yeah, pretty much. And just, well, or whatever drug like gobstopper, like hallucinogen he gives to children. Like, just it seems like he'd have that factory running pretty tight, and with whatever, midget type of workforce that's somewhat alien or whatever, something out of Phantasm. He just enlists like this army of weirdos.
His pink robots.
Yes, exactly. You shimmy.
Anyway, so you were saying that it's sort of just like a gut feeling of, I just don't like listening to this.
Yeah, I mean, it's to everyone's taste, really. I do agree that like it's a taste issue because I love Primus just in general, and a lot of people don't, and even people who do like it acknowledge that there's a shittiness to Primus that both is awesome and off-putting. So I don't know, but I do know like what I listened to today to try to prep for this. I found some joy in some things, and I had never listened to Lil Wayne, so I mean it was quite a sexual awakening for me. So we'll see, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but also like things can be just shit. You can just listen to it like I don't give a shit about that. That's not marketed towards me,
right?
Like I don't know. But also someone with the intent of making something that's X, Y, or Z, and they fail really bad at it. Like, it's not that good. It's like, and you can still like it, but it's also like, it's not a really good album.
Right. And I think there's a couple boxes I put bad music into. One is, and it's less common, especially nowadays, is just a genuinely poorly constructed piece of work in that it's out of time, it doesn't sound right, like the mix is bad, like there's like the objective qualifications for recording an album. So like on one of these albums, if everything was out of tune or the drummer was offbeat or something like that, that would constitute a bad recording, a bad album. On those basic fundamentals, did you get those wrong? No, whatever. The biggest thing for me even is a boring album to me. An average album is always the worst album. Like each of these had such a guttural reaction for me that like I'll never forget them. Not for any good reasons, but I'll never forget them. Versus like when Kris and I were talking about doing this episode, the Miley Cyrus and Flaming Lips album came up, and I was pretty against it on the strong basis of it's a very boring album. It's just drony.
Oh, really?
It's like
there's this one track that you have to listen to where it's there's like very boring keyboard stuff going on in the background, and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of boring, but I know I would like to listen to it without the lyrics. But anyways, the quote unquote lyrics of the song are her on this like cannabis infused rant. Is the best way to describe it. It's ridiculous.
She's dabbing at her heart.
Oh yeah, but one of the parts of it, I think it's this one, is she's talking about men and why they put the dick in the pussy.
Or she's
that's
like
a direct lyric.
When she's crying about her goldfish or whatever that died when she went to the sushi restaurant. The goldfish. Like there's some choice moments that are pretty outrageous, but for the most part, it's just like a really monotonous album. But so like, but all of these
that's so disappointing.
Or I'm sorry to disappoint.
Not to say I was clamoring for that, but I don't know.
We have this other realm of albums, and the thing with all three of these albums is they clearly have a mission in mind. There's clearly an intention. There's clearly an artistic direction that these artists were going with that were very bold, I will say, but they misfired, whether it's a lack of understanding of the craft they were wandering into or what, but they are just colossal misfires. It's not like Lil Wayne was making a rap album and stumbled over himself. Lil Wayne here is trying to create a rock album, which is not his forte from the get-go, and we learned that it's not. So it's a piece of it for me is almost like this lack of understanding of what you're doing can really result in a total disaster because you're just not even aware of like what parameters you're walking into. I know that sounds a little nebulous, but that's the best way I can describe it is when you often have an artist that tries to venture so off into a different direction. So like Kiss's songs from the Elder or whatever it's called, like it's so off base for them that like they don't understand.
Oh, is that the grunge one? Is
no,
that the one you're talking about?
That's like the fantasy whatever one, like the soundtrack.
Oh,
to some,
yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, so like just a total lack of understanding of what they're walking into, and I think all three albums really kind of are in that realm here. So I don't know, Chris, what do you think? What really actually falls in line as a bad album?
Well, I think, as basically what's already been said, it boils down to two things. Are the elements not working, or is it just not your thing? And in picking these albums, I tried to find ones where they were panned both critically and by the fan base, which I think is it's like the most objective indicator you can find of something that, is something where it's the elements aren't working and it's not, just a taste thing per se. Or you can make more of a case that it is the taste thing, at least.
Right. But, as we'll learn, these weren't all necessarily commercial flops.
No.
Wow, really?
No. Well, I can at least espouse that Lil Wayne's Rebirth was was certified gold. It was certified gold.
Oh, I can understand that.
That's brutal.
But so
because he's insane.
He is insane. But so I think let's jump into this one first because I just mentioned it. Lil Wayne's Rebirth. Rebirth is Lil Wayne's 7th studio album and his debut as a rock musician. There are some hip-hop rap tracks on this album, but it is him declaring that he is a rock star, not just a hip-hop star. And in my understanding, is this sort of came to be initially, there was a documentary that was made as he was preparing and recording The Carter 3, and at some random point he declared that he was like some amazing rock star, he is the best, or like some rock god or whatever, not just a hip-hop star, and he picked up a guitar and produced a very bad guitar solo. Like somewhere in his mind he went, yeah, this is great. And then he decided, let's make a whole album of this style of music. It is... I'll leave that as the primer. Phil, you are our guest of honor, so you get to go first. And you said this is your first Lil Wayne album, so what did you think of Rebirth?
Well, it's interesting because in my head, just like listening to it and kind of exploring, like, oh, what the fuck, what am I going to talk about with this? Because half of the time, like, am I such an old codger that I just am too out of touch with anyone, let alone people my own age? But I'm like, oh no, this is Lil Wayne's Pet Sounds. This is what this is. And just him. This is him like overproducing, like just going crazy and just like, I want the fucking elephants over there, It just goes he goes insane with it, and it's just so weird. And it's like, yeah, like you were saying, his idea of what rock may be, or just like an auto-tune cracked out version of it is. And I don't know, man. He's just on a journey to what I don't know. He knows, but there was a couple lines in it that I had to I got to write this down. But I also want to know, is the song Ground Zero about 9/11 and what he feels either should have happened or I don't know.
It sure sounds like 9/11. That much I can tell you.
It does. Well, yeah, you can hear the plane just.
You can just hear everything crash.
I'm rereading the lyrics now with the context of this 9/11 thing, and say my name, baby, pull my hair, and I'm gonna fuck you like a bull, I swear. It's all for... Nothing about Tower 7, though. Nothing about steel beams.
Back the hell off, rock and roll Jesus with all my nails on. All I need is a blunt and a bail bond. And give these blind motherfuckers something to feel on. Rolling like a motherfucker, put your wheels on. And let's roll down the hill till the hill gone. I started on the block, but that's something to build on. And how can I pray when I got nothing to... He rhymes on with on a lot in this.
Yeah, man. Lil Wayne. You know that he improvises all of his lyrics. I don't know if you know that.
Is that... Are you serious?
That is what I've been told. I don't know if that's a fact.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. So you were proposing that the song Ground Zero is about 9/11?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, maybe that's a fantasy in my head he put, and I'm projecting back.
Well, there is a line at the end of the song that says "Flames fashion, planes crashing, Ground Zero." So
yeah,
you know, I can't remember the song that he says something to the extent of like "Drink me like soup and I'll eat you like Chinese, like Chinese takeout."
Yes.
Was that it?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like Chinese takeout. I'm trying to look it up. It was like surf and turf.
Yes,
that's what he says.
Oh, weird.
Surf and turf.
Such an awkward sexual illusion.
And it's like, I don't know, I just associate that with like, I don't know, indigestion and like overeating. It's not a very sexy thing.
No, it's just like, so like the labia is very thick. And
very
just
meaty.
Like, yeah, exactly. It
meaty
just,
labia.
Yeah, like, that's my metal name.
Dude, she's got like a 12-ounce T-bone down there.
Yeah.
I always say that to my woman. I'm like, you just got such meaty labia.
It's like eating a surf and turf.
It's like eating a surf and turf.
It's like, give me a side of potato right there. What are you talking about? I don't know. I just listened to Lil Wayne for 2 hours.
I need a baked potato stat.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. But it could be. You never know. I kind of was zoned. It allowed me to zone out in a lot of ways and listen and then get pulled back in for just weird things like that.
Very weird, just like creative direction kept pulling me back in because I just kept being like, wait, what? What just happened? Why did we just do that? And there's no logic to half of what's going on in this album. But
all these songs are super different. Like
they are.
I feel like rap rock in like, I don't know, this may come off as praise, but it is not. Let me assure you people. But like it's so much more than that. You know what I mean?
This felt very safe. Like it almost feels like it could easily be a kid's album if you change like a couple lyrics around. Yeah. I'm serious.
I was thinking about it. If I didn't know any better, I would say that like a room full of white guys in suits came up with this album, and they were like, "All right, little Mr. Wayne, we're gonna have you do an album with like Fall Out Boy and Coldplay, and it's gonna sell billions. Don't worry about it."
I believe Coldplay was. I mean, not Coldplay. Fall Out Boy was helped with some of the writing of this album.
Oh boy. This came out in 2010. They are way past expiration date on there.
Well, it comes out on two songs really clearly. Before I get into this, I told this to Kris, but I was playing this with my significant other in the room, and she just kept yelling at me to stop it. She just was like, "No, stop."
Sure.
And she likes regular Lil Wayne. I mean, there's a bunch of his songs like on her like a party playlist she would listen to. But like this album, she just was like genuinely angry at what was going on. But you had the songs Knockout and the songs Get a Life, which very much have a Fall Out Boy song. Get a Life almost sounds like an Avril Lavigne outtake, like he bought that song from her. That very pop punky skate, like Warped Tour 2002 Skater Boy kind of shit.
Yep.
But, you know, as terrible as this is, and this is genuinely a terrible album, like, on multiple levels, it's just very ill-conceived. I don't know which parts of these is actually Lil Wayne on guitar and which parts aren't, because, I mean, a lot of the guitar parts are just, like, heinously simple, like, very rudimentary.
I think they're looped. That's my theory.
Well, except for there's a couple, pretty cheesy, but there are a couple guitar solos where I'm like, this is beyond the skill set that's been demonstrated so far.
Yeah.
But what I will, two things I
Hold on, Lil Wayne. Is there a ringer here?
His version of the Wrecking Crew showed up. Two things I will say. One, to his credit, he did attempt to venture out of his normal comfort zone, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to try something completely different, which didn't work. But he's like, hey, I'm gonna try doing a rock album. I will give him kudos for making that effort, and I will give him kudos for attempting to learn the guitar, which is a very hard instrument to learn, as I'm attempting to do very poorly myself.
You related to Lil Wayne.
I can relate to Lil Wayne. Like if I were
You're on a similar journey.
Right, if I were to put out an album at this point in my guitar work, it would sound no better than the guitar work on Rebirth. So I give him credit to that. Number 2, I want to rewrite this narrative. So we're making fun of this because Lil Wayne, I mean, it's a bad album, and Lil Wayne's also a very accomplished artist at this point who is releasing this. But I want you to reimagine if this let's say you're at home for Christmas or Thanksgiving, and you have like a 13-year-old niece or nephew or cousin who walks up to you and is like, I just made this album. Think of the album that way. Think if this was recorded by like an early adolescent. And in my mind, when I think of that, I'd be like, hey, this is a really good album for someone who's not been alive for that long.
I mean, that would make sense considering the lead single is called Prom Queen, and Lil Wayne's like, what, 33?
Prom Queen.
Yeah.
Prom
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. What the hell are you getting at? Like, does he want to be the prom queen? I didn't understand. Like,
I think he was dissing her. I think it's a diss. I think it's like, I'm the prom queen. I'm the fucking hottest piece of shit in the toilet. Yeah.
Well, that's the second song. The first one has like he's talking about being in a rock band. Then there's like the chorus or whatever of the young girl. I'm like, wait, is this your daughter or is someone else's daughter? They're just like, I'm with the band. So you're letting your daughter just get like gang raped by or like gang banged by the band on the road or done whatever. She's just pretty much like the rag doll.
Those are the lyrics. Hey, daddy, can you let me ride with the band?
Yeah. That's exactly. I'm like, what's going on?
I did love on American Star that he does yell out "bridge" when the bridge starts. He's bridge, and then there's the bridge.
And people were having a cigarette in the studio, like, oh shit, we got to get back. Let's go.
And then we get an Obama reference, which severely dates this album.
Well, when was this album made?
2010.
Yeah.
Even though, according to Wikipedia, it was recorded between 2008 and 2010, and so I think that sort of speaks to the hodgepodge nature of the album, because, like, in addition to like the Warped Tour cuts, you have there's a song on here that sounds more Metallica than the Metallica album we're about to review, that was a mind blower. But then also you have like
can we talk about
80s tracks, and like there's some shit that sounds more like country rock crossover type thing.
Can we talk about On Fire? Can we talk about On Fire? That song is insane. It's a remix of an actual song, right? Like there's
yes,
I remember
that is a song. It's a song from guess which 80s movie.
I think it's from Scarface.
It is from Scarface.
Because I remember,
of course.
I was like, I feel like I heard this on a Grand Theft Auto game.
Yep. It's in Grand Theft Auto 3.
Yeah, and I was like, sure.
Was that when they're in the club in Scarface? Is this the song that comes up? Like the really weird 80s parts, like where everyone's like, oh, Scarface is great. I'm like, well, watch that scene, then tell me Scarface is great.
The music we should have done the soundtrack for that movie, because the music of that movie is whack.
It's nuts.
Even for an 80s album.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is Debbie Harry. Blondie herself.
Knowingly?
No, well, she recorded the original.
Original, yeah.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
He uses the term matchbox to describe a woman's vagina a lot of times on Fire.
Well,
gotta strike it.
If we're talking about the JJs here, I gotta say my favorite lyric in Knockout is from Nicki Minaj of all people. When I throw this pussy, you better not start ducking. So she's like, I'm gonna fuck you, and you are gonna deal with it. I don't care if you're into it. I'm Nicki Minaj.
You did not mention the line before, which is, fuck it, give me that damn bucket.
Yeah.
What was it? Give me that damn bucket?
Yeah. What does that even mean?
I don't like. It's just like that's a pussy juice bucket. It's just what I use.
Does Nicki Minaj have a dedicated?
Play?
She's an overly sexually active lady.
Oh, yeah.
And she just
has a dedicated pussy juice bucket.
She never
Yeah.
left puberty.
Yeah, PJB. That's just like like the tour manager constantly has to
Bring out
like
the-
where
I
is
gotta
it?
know about the PJ again.
Yeah. Oh, where is it? It just fuck it. And you know it's a durable one. It's one like that's been in the Minaj family for ages.
This is the Minaj family pussy juice bucket.
Yeah. Oh, what did Graham think? What about Graham's pussy bucket? Oh, that thing. That wooden thing won't hold up.
It's
on
like
tour.
it's like a cast iron skillet. You gotta let it season.
Gotta keep.
Did someone make pancakes out of the bucket?
Oh man, we're never gonna get that out.
Never gonna get. Well, it's actually not too bad.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
jeez. Yeah, is that? Wow. I guess maybe I just was taken in by that, by
just-
the melodic.
Man,
You couldn't
and
look away.
The intro lyrics that I'm reading again, these are also great. A lot of great lyrics on this album.
There are.
Hey Barbie, are you into black men? Hey Barbie, I
Oh,
could be
yeah.
a black Ken.
to
There you go.
dip your. Yeah.
It is.
So what,
like,
what does he say after that? Go like go white, never. I forget the lyric after. He goes
when,
like, you know,
when you
once
go when you go black, you never go back.
but there is he goes, but when I think he goes to the white audience, he says, but when you go to white, I forget what the lyric after, but it didn't seem like total shame shutdown either or cuckold based. Would you think he could go? But he doesn't. He doesn't go for the cuckold ankle there, which is a shame because you think, you know,
Ooh.
black never go back.
Here's another one that's going to be dated any moment now. Backstroke, like Michael Phelps with my backstroke. Break her
Yeah.
off till her back broke. I leave her numb like crack coke.
Yeah. Subway was not in bankruptcy.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm your Kevin Costner. I'll be your I'll be the boss girl.
What?
The what?
What is that? Is there?
Is there a boss girl?
Kevin Costner played
I know
Whitney
Boss
Houston.
Baby.
Kevin Costner played Whitney Houston's bodyguard. That's the reference apparently.
Boss
Okay.
girl. There has to be. I mean, maybe I should get like an appendix for this album, just to read alongside. Like, oh, okay.
I'm currently going through Rap Genius at the moment.
Oh yeah.
So,
Um,
oh man, but the more we talk about this, the more kind of fun and stupid this thing really appears. I
And
mean,
it is as obnoxious as humanly possible. This is like 80s hair metal kind of like lyrics and presentation just cranked up to numbers inconceivable by man. Because like I think of songs like Cherry Pie and all that kind of shit that was produced back then, and this is in the same vein, just like a man with a guitar spinning his dick around,
Yep.
going yeah.
Cock rock.
It is,
cock rock, yeah.
it is cock rock to the extreme, just beyond what what's his name, Bret Michaels could ever dream of.
But just like with cock rap, just like that same like shitty commercialized rap, just kind of infused or
You could
whatever.
shorten that to crap. Am I right?
Crap, whoa, or crud. Keep it clean.
Oh,
And why at this point I don't know why I would care. But
one thing one through line that I liked for all these albums is that each album had a song that sort of described at least my relationship with it. So like with Paradise, for instance, oh no, this ain't Paradise. And I was like, no, you're right, Lil Wayne. It's not Paradise.
It is not.
So is he invoking Phil Collins there then?
I don't. Maybe
Am I just reaching? I just want.
he. This is an album where Lil Wayne shouts out Travis Barker, so I would say that anything is on the table.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's kind of his thing to just shout out.
Yeah, Travis Barker on drums.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I was like,
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh no. Just an body cast.
Ooh,
But
I'm just sorry. I'm going through these lyrics. And I found the song. And T. Barker is my motherfucking drummer. But in that
There you
verse, he goes. Let me just read the verse and let me see if I can get through the whole thing. Beat the beat up till the beat get punch drunk. Drown in my flow, motherfucker. Bring your swimming trunks. Everybody say they just do it. Well, I just do it. Times do change, motherfucker, but the gun don't. Woke up this morning with my dick to the ceiling. Fell asleep with another chick from my building. Kick her ass out and have breakfast like a motherfucker. I'm with another bitch by supper. Yeah, me and hate that's an odd couple. Heh heh, you fake you wouldn't pop bubbles. You can act stupid, bitch, I'm dumber, but T. Barker is my motherfucking drummer. Let's go.
That's a qualifier. In the end, if you don't have T. Barker pumping out those beats,
ooh, he
bitch,
does,
get out of my room.
He does reference Michael Jordan's flu game, which, as a Illinois native, I have to give credit for that.
Yeah, the famous what was it, like 40-something point game in the finals, right?
Yeah, and he had the flu. He says when I play sick, I'm Jordan with the flu.
Wow.
All right, this album is great now. That's okay.
No, I could see it going either way, and it is. I maintain that it's kind of like his pet sound, and it's just him like going out there doing whatever. And yeah, but also could be just like, I think you mentioned it earlier, just like because your significant other has like some Lil Wayne songs that are just kind of like a party mix. This definitely is something that you could just stupidly throw on, and people like could just be like, "What the fuck is going on?" But just having a party and be like, "Hey, whatever."
This is how you get everyone to leave your party, is you put this on.
I mean, all depends. If they're not, get your swimming trunks on.
Because T. Barker is my motherfucking drummer.
Drummer.
I would recommend grabbing a couple songs from this album just to listen, because it's not worth sitting through the whole near hour that this album is. But you got if you listen to the first 3 songs, you got an idea of how audacious it is. It is like auto-tuned to Kingdom Come. It is cheesy. It is schlocky. It is over the top. But again, I give Lil Wayne credit for making an effort. He did try and do something different. It was not good, but he attempted. And you know what? Frankly, I think if you were to do another one, I'd probably listen to it. I'd be like, can he figure this out? Can he find like where he kind of sits in this? Because this is him throwing a bunch of different styles of music at the wall and seeing what sticks, and really none of it did.
Well, I'll tell you what, he was gonna make a sequel to this, but those plans changed.
Oh no! What happened? What was the reason?
This was a failure.
No, it sold well.
I thought. Didn't we say
it sold well? But he got a lot of shit for it. I think it hurt his ego because I mean he's a big ego guy, and so I think this probably occupies a space in his life where he's like, it's like you said, it's like the Pet Sounds thing. He was like, yeah, man, I did whatever I wanted. It was incredible. It was a total success. No need to go back and do it again. It's like that's just a cover up.
Well, I think part of it too is probably no one in that studio was sitting there going, "Are you sure about this? Are you?" Everyone's probably, "Yeah, man, Wayne, you're killing it, Wayne." And no one, Birdman, for specific, Birdman cannot stop riding Lil Wayne's dick, and he probably was like, "This is the greatest thing, Wayne, you on the ball, Wayne. Let me get more of your money." And no one was like, "Dude, you should not release this, or you should really think hard about this." And I think if he had someone in the studio, if Brian Eno was there, Brian Eno would have helped shape this into like a solid 5 out of 10.
Oh my god! I don't even want to go there.
No, I mean,
now I'm imagining that album. I'm calling it Lil Weeno.
Yeah, wow. Why wouldn't you listen to that just for the sake of it? Just so you know it exists.
I just don't want to imagine Lil Wayne and Brian Eno in the same room. It's like it's triggering me. I don't know. It's like
it's all right. There's no safe space left on Earth.
No, that's what I was going to say at the top of the episode. We just went from safe spaces like right into the combat zone. I need my safe space now.
Oh man, I who's the producer who produced like all those XTC albums in like the 80s, and even just keep throwing what's his name, Rick Rubin. If you threw Rick Rubin in this or someone else.
Oh no, I think Rick Rubin would have even made this worse because there would have been like 10,000 overdubs of Lil Wayne.
Bill's right. Bill's right. No, I want to hear this album with Rick Rubin. that would be great.
It clearly like the Suits. I actually disagree. I think the Suits. I don't even think they cared about like stopping or saying no. They're like, yeah, let them do what the fuck. Like, let's see, because they like people will buy it for whatever reason. And I guess I guess they did.
Yeah.
And it just has a lot of commercial people who like dullards will fucking fawn over. So there we go.
It is just a flaming. I mean, if Rick Rubin was on this would be a full-on flaming clown car going over the cliff. It would just be
lovely,
insane.
I don't know. I'm kind of. I want to see something of that effect. I don't know why.
Oh, I do too. I think we should get on Twitter and make sure these two people find each other.
Oh, Rick Rubin and Lil Wayne? Yeah,
Yes.
they've never heard of each other. We got to hook them up.
We got to hook them up.
Hey, have you heard of this guy? Tell my beard.
Tell my beard. Well, so you guys are asking for a safe space. You're feeling too activated. So I think we should go with the safe space album in this episode. Miles Davis's Doo-Bop. I think we could all agree is the safe part of this episode. Kris, why don't you intro Miles Davis and this very shocking album cover?
So this album came out in 1991, as you can tell by the album cover.
It's very similar to the Lil Wayne album cover. It's just a man sitting on some furniture with his instrument.
Yeah, it's fitting even. So one, if you wanted to be, if you wanted to really stick it to a Miles Davis fan, you would call this a sequel to On the Corner, which came out in 1972, and it paved the way for a lot of genres that you wouldn't necessarily think are similar. So like ambient, post rock, hip hop, industrial stuff. All of it comes from, or all of it you can trace back to this album. And so this is the last album that Miles recorded. It was also the cap on the second phase of his career, which was interrupted by his addiction to heroin in the late 70s. And he came back and he did it was a shinier, friendlier Miles Davis than what had left, which was sort of like the 70s equivalent of like Godspeed You, Black Emperor or something. Late 70s stuff is really wild. And it's I would say the cardinal sin for this album is that it's boring and it doesn't do this guy justice at all, because this is a guy who everything he touched turned to gold up into a certain point after he came back. And I think that he lost some confidence, and you can look at this album and sort of feel that, because this is a guy who's, I don't know how old he was at that point. He was in his early to mid 60s. And so this is a guy who is clinging to relevance, by trying to put this album out. And it just sounds like you could find many, 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 many other albums that came out from the same time that sound indistinguishable from this. And so that is end of intro. Alex, what did you think?
Well, so I wanted just a couple jumping off points from what you said, and you're probably more of the Davis expert than I am. I've listened to a bunch of his albums, especially the earlier work, and so much of it is just phenomenal. I'm a big fan of the Electric era, the Agartha and Dark Magus specifically are just two of my favorite albums. But I know that he had a brief, like about a 5-year period from the mid 70s to the 80s where he was just doing a shitload of cocaine and alcohol and heroin and fucking everything that moved, and that he sort of came back later on. And as far as I know, his sort of that second wind I think you described it as it was very shiny. It was much cleaner. It was far removed from his very
commercial.
Very commercial. It was far away.
Like he covered Time After Time, the Cyndi Lauper song that your parents probably danced to.
And yeah, something broke. Either he just loved money and didn't give a shit, or this is like what I don't know what it was. But Kris, you and I discussed this briefly before the show a day or two ago, that one of the things that I thought of a lot when I was listening to this album is like the state of jazz in the 80s and 90s, which I think you made a comment of it was terrible. a lot of Kenny G style music, a lot of smooth jazz. Like, this was an era where that era of bop jazz and all the era of Coltrane, Mingus, I'm blanking on all the other names I want to say, was long gone, and it wasn't popular anymore. And what was popular was schlock garbage. And so you have one of the very few of the survivors of that era. I think Kris, we came up with like 3 or 4 guys that lived to the 90s from that era.
Yeah, there were a few big guys, but like he's probably, I would say he is definitely the biggest.
But I mean, because we had like Davis was alive, Herbie Hancock was alive, Dave Brubeck was alive, and I think you mentioned 1 or 2 other guys, but most of them were dead. They all they all died from drug overdoses or the like. So it's just, he's living in an era that he almost doesn't belong in. Like, it's almost like he missed his cue to exit the planet, which is tragic, but it almost is true. So he's stuck in this weird situation of like, how do I stay relevant when no one cares about the work I used to do? Like, no one wants to listen to. I mean, jazz heads want to listen to hear him play like some Shades of Blue, but most people don't care about Shades of Blue. And so what does he do is he proposes that he makes like his own version of a hip hop record. And you know, I'm sure at the time, if I were to listen to this, and if I was like a big Miles Davis fan, and I'm like, ooh, here's the new Miles record, I would probably been super pissed. But we are nearly 30 years removed from this record, and in a way, I don't hate it. It's nothing. It's pretty bland. Most of the songs are just sort of like a pre-programmed, like electronic, almost backing track, and then him just kind of trumpeting away on it. Like, it just seems like little 5-10 second loops going over and over, and he's just playing along to them. It doesn't sound great. Somehow it won a Grammy for a reason I don't understand, but it's, again, I think his performance is fine. There was a couple moments where actually I thought some of the backing tracks were kind of cool. For example, Mystery, the opening track, I kind of liked. The bass line in Sonia was kind of cool. And then I used to be a big time video gamer. The song High Speed Chase definitely sounds like a song from a video game circa 2000. Like, if you put that on any Dreamcast game, I'd be like, oh yeah, totally. I totally believe this is just a Dreamcast, like from Jet Grind Radio. So there were moments where I was like, it was engaged. Any song with rap in it was terrible. Was truly, truly terrible. But beyond that, it's sort of a sad portrait of someone who just didn't know what to do at this point. And I think he was just kind of like, where am I in my life? Like, what am I doing? And then he didn't even survive for this album to come out. I think he died, and they had to sort of randomly glue together 2 more tracks that weren't even properly recorded during these sessions. Yeah,
that's true. This album sounds like music that you'd hear like checking into a hotel in like Vancouver circa like 2003.
Right.
That's what this sounds like.
Well, and what I think I told you that if an artist were to put out this style of music now, Pitchfork would blow a goddamn gasket and call it revolutionary and give it a 9 out of 10 and tag it best new music.
It'd be a Doo-Bop wave.
Doo-Bop wave. Bop wave. Bopcore.
Bop wave. On the bopper.
But it's the rap lyrics are truly bad. Like something like, I'm playing with Miles Davis in his instrument, he can play it in every position. It doesn't even make any sense what is being described.
Yeah, the beginning of the track Blow was a heavy blow for me. It was talking about
too real.
There's one lyric where he's Easy Moby is talking about how like Miles's trumpet playing will make like women cream, and it's no, dude, it's 1991. Women don't give a shit about 65-year-old Miles Davis. Like, no matter how much you hype him up.
Well, it all depends if he is talking about 65-year-old women.
No, I'm sorry.
That's a very good point.
Look at that photo of Miles Davis in his tragic polka dot pajama pants.
Man.
And he's like, look at how dead his eyes are. Look at how he's like, this is where I'm at. I was called the greatest trumpeter of all time, and here I am fucking making this album.
It's almost like a nature picture. Like he's like someone went into his apartment and just caught him just like fucking around in bed. And they're just like, ah! And he's like, what are you? And he's slowly looking up, like, what are you?
I guess you could
what
stay, man, and take this picture.
And then they just, yeah, exactly. They just get right out. Sorry, I mean, I'm not as up to speed with Miles Davis, and I actually want to see the biopic done, starring and directed by Don Cheadle, which I've heard that it's so-so, but I still want to see it because I enjoy the subject matter and Don Cheadle.
I will say this: the ending, everything leading up to the ending is so-so, as you described. Yeah. It's not a waste of time. But the ending is bad.
Oh,
very
okay.
Bad.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. And they certainly don't cover this. They do not cover this.
Just to like throw my, I guess, 1.5 cents in. But just there, I agree with, just, you guys have been talking about how it feels very safe. Even for like, and I could tell it was like 91. I didn't even look it up when I was listening because it has that like early 90s rap feel to it where it was either rapping about fruit or just like fucking the police or whatever. Not fucking them, but just... well, I guess, maybe, both that but being aggressively opposed to their antics.
Yeah, what if fuck the police is about, like...
Just, yeah, downright police fucking.
Ice Cube wants to get some surf and turf.
Yeah.
With the Sarge.
You never know, man. Get me a side of fucking baby back ribs, because your cooch is like a fucking Outback Steakhouse. I just want in. I don't know.
I just want your bloomin' onion.
You're like a Bennigan girl.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Give it to me. Oh, you're just sizzling. I don't know, man. It's it feels safe, but I like Fantasy is actually my favorite track, and I forget if it has anything to do with if A Tribe Called Quest or Tribe was involved at all.
Were they?
I don't know. It sounded like Tribe, but I could be just me projecting, like wanting it to be. But yeah, no, it's
T-O-B is the only big name on here.
Yeah, I see that. Like looking it up, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like a safe, weird album, and they just are kind of like, well, here's Miles Davis's tracks. Go, and they're like, what? Like rap, do something. I'm like, okay,
do the rap thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do what you kids do, the rap thing.
There's a feeling like Miles probably was in the studio for all of as long as this album is. They're like, all right, here's each track and go. And he's like, do you need to listen to it first? No, I got it. Because that's how Davis talked late in life. No, I'm good.
No, that's how he talked all of his life.
Yeah.
So even more, I got it. And then he just burnt through it and then was drinking a 40 as he was exiting the studio.
I don't know, man. Chocolate chip, whatever. This is like Doo-Bop.
Doo-Bop. Whatever, man.
And like
it's just people music.
They make numerous references to the backing music being bop, which is just grossly incorrect.
It's very incorrect.
What does that mean? I'm not even like bop. So
bop is like when you think of like Django Reinhardt type stuff, or yeah, I guess so. So it's like it's a little bit. The swing nature of the drums is a strong presence. It's a little bit fast. And then you have post bop, which is like the cool 50s shit. And it's like even more faster, and improv is a bigger part of it. And so that is obviously not present on this album.
No, it feels very weirdly. It feels like the improv is not magical at all.
Alex made a good point before about how this sort of works in like a vaporwave way. Like it's sort of almost like a vaporwave album. So I don't know. I want to steal your thunder if you want to say more on that.
No, the fact that 4chan has not capitalized on this style of music is shocking. Now that I've listened to it, like it's saturated the 80s lounge music style of music in some sort of weird irony. This is coming. This Doo-Bop is the next thing on Moo. It's going to happen.
Because what was the last weird kind of elevator music thing that happened in the last 4 or 5 years that was kind of fun,
about, like,
but
there was like C-Punk.
oh, there was something nuts. I don't know. It was just
Witch House.
Future
Which
Funk.
sounds like a movie, but it's a job.
or just a shitty animated kids flick or something. Or it could be just
a lot of these genres. A lot of these genres do involve a lot of anime iconic.
Oh, of course,
pictures.
It's 4chan.
Yes,
it's Basement Dweller.
yes. So, it's a curious album because if you were to put someone in a room and have them listen to Shades of Blue or Bitches Brew, and then put on Doo-Bop afterwards. The jarring juxtaposition between the man who put out all 3 of those albums is pretty insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, it's sort of like, the First Amendment. There's a good part and there's a bad part. And with Miles Davis, a guy who had, endless reach, there's going to be a good side to that and there's going to be a bad side to that. And Doo-Bop is certainly the bad side. Even though it was a welcome part of this cadre of albums, because it was the most I could listen to it and actively enjoy parts of it more than the other parts. Even though I had way more fun listening to Metallica and Lil Wayne, just because this album is so fucking boring. It's just like the sound, the way it's mixed. Like I don't know what it is about it.
I don't know about that. I mean, I would. Oh, the Metallica album. I don't know if I can even.
Well, this is the only album out of the 3 that's mixed competently. The other 2 are mixed like a drunk badger was at the board.
You think?
Oh, absolutely. This one, his trumpet's mixed a little too low, but beyond that, it's actually like competently put together, as opposed to Rebirth, which the drums are insanely loud, and Lulu, which we'll just get to in a minute. But this is
everything is just in Rebirth is fucking loud.
There's life at least, though. You know what I mean? Like, whereas this one, it feels. This is like the last time you have sex with your girlfriend before you break up with them. There's just like nothing there.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Kris, I think you just didn't listen to the lyrics. And the lyrics say, turn off. Hold on. I'm talking now. Turn off the lights and let the J give it to ya, and let the trumpet blow as I kick this. 'Cause rap is fundamental, and Miles sounds so wicked. A little taste of bebop sound with the backdrop of doo-wop, and this is why we can call it the Doo-Bop. But you gotta let the J give it to ya. A J is a term for marijuana. It's marijuana.
Okay.
I'm totally guessing.
I mean,
yeah, I'm trying to figure out who.
Full disclosure.
You ever smoke a J?
Some tree, little bits of herb. That's right. But doesn't mean I'm not rolling and or distributing to minors. But I have to find the time to do it, and this podcast was the prime time. If I can advertise my Drugs for Kids programs.
Gotta get kids in drugs' hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to make sure they understand
that they're bad.
And also that it makes Doo-Bop slightly more listenable. But I don't know. I think this is a safe album for me, because I know Metallica, that's the one I couldn't even finish. I couldn't get through. Couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
I listened to this one twice and I wasn't upset about it. The other ones were just marathons of, oh fuck me.
No, that is undeniable. That's undeniable.
So let's get to the last one, and the longest. So Lou Reed and Metallica's Lulu is pretty well known. It's pretty notorious in its shocking nature.
It's the Waterworld of that album, I would say, because like Waterworld, it's really long. It's really dreary, and it sucks.
Way to go with that nice deep mid-90s reference in Waterworld.
Yeah, man.
Actually, I disagree about Waterworld in general, but I do agree with the premise of it just being like an overhyped and over crazy produced, self-masturbatory kind of opus or whatever. But we're also talking about Lou Reed, so...
Well, apparently, just because I want to keep talking about it, there's a director's cut of Waterworld where the film apparently gets much better. I think it's supposed to be even longer, but then things actually start to make sense.
No, I get that. Like this, I'm sure that the same thing could happen with like David Lynch's Dune. If like enough of the shit that they cut out, were put back in, maybe it could float.
Same thing with the Last Jedi. If the film was an extra 45 minutes longer, it could almost be. No, I'm just kidding. Nothing can.
Yeah,
the Last
I don't think you can make it longer to me.
What did you think of it, by the way, Phil? I haven't talked to you since you've seen it.
Oh no, there were a lot of like awesome ideas in it and awesome things, but I also, and this begs the question as I talk to other friends and diehard Star Wars fans, like, do I need to be talked off a ledge about Star Wars as far as like, should I be seeing these movies, like all 8 of them every year, or like I don't know if I need to, like maybe I'm done, maybe I'm just kind of like, yeah.
Disney wants you to. Disney wants you to sit in your fucking seat in that $15 movie seat and shove your fat fuck face with popcorn. That's all Disney
with the
needs you
butt
for.
Kickers.
I am fat, but that popcorn goes right to the theater. They don't get the cut from that. They get the cut just from the theaters renting the shit. But I don't know. I mean, it just felt. I don't know what was going on. It felt like an Altman film. There were like 80 different characters who just kept getting introduced. And you just get a brief like, hey, how you doing? And just like the choices acting wise and just like why certain characters did things, like, oh, all right. But they're also like the part where Rey is like touching the mirror for the dark side stuff. That's amazing. Like that's just a great weird bit of imagery and just like psychoanalytic, like the evil spawning just kind of like all these different multi-universe. There's a lot of stuff you can play with that is fun. But overall, as like a flick, my buddy put it kind of briefly like, oh, it's a movie about a starship running out of gas. I was like, well,
Yep.
I guess. It's like
a very long movie about that.
Yeah, which I understand. But I mean, truly, it's about like hope, sure. But
yeah,
hope that the film will end.
Yeah, the prayers that
hope
get
that there
answered
won't be a
once
second milking scene.
I feel like the milking scene should have been extended.
Yeah, I just don't have the problems with that. Like when people bring up stuff like that, like that's not the thing that offends me or does me in as much. I don't know, but I don't know. Let me go on. I guess I couldn't actually. I don't have anything else. My mind is.
And much like The Last Jedi, Lulu I would describe as sporadically interesting. At moments, I am piqued. I am brought to attention, but ultimately, I think what really hits this album hard in the nethers, it is that it's 90 minutes long and it has no business being 90 minutes long. All other arguments aside, and we're going to get to all this in a second, I think the crux of the issue is that this is 87 minutes and so many of the tracks just meander randomly, aimlessly, and you're just begging for them to stop, but Lou Reed still has more of his random snuff poems to read to you, and you're like, Uncle, please stop. I just want to play Monopoly with the other cousins in their other room. He's like, no, you fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Lick
you
my
need to learn about
pussy.
my troubles. Yeah, exactly. This color man's penis. I'm like, all right,
Colored
we get it, Uncle
penis. Lou. I shoot no
dick.
sperm like a girl. Like a girl.
Spermless like a girl.
Spermless like
that
a
was
girl.
What the real, to be dry and spermless like a girl. That was the moment. That was the moment where it all clicked for me.
Yeah, you all fell in love.
That's where you broke.
That's where I broke.
So, Kris, this is the first time you've ever listened to Lulu, is that correct? Because I've listened to this before, so this is actually the second time.
I'd heard The View before, the famous "I Am the Table" track. That I've heard, but the rest of it, I had not heard. Mostly because half of the album is 4 songs, and that's a lot of Lou Reed and Metallica.
It's a lot of Lou Reed and Metallica
for one person to take.
And so, Kris, you had an interesting theory also about this album. So once you're done with this thought, I'm curious what that theory was.
Well, I think so. Metallica are friends with hometown heroes, the Mars Volta, and I think they did like there were a lot of pictures of them together around this time, and I think this is Metallica's way of trying to do a Mars Volta album, or trying to do something epic and proggy and experimental, and it just falls flat on its face so fucking hard. I would love to see a documentary about the making of this album, just like considering how petty and shitty they were to each other. When you throw Lou Reed in the mix, oh my god, like it must have been unreal.
What do you mean petty and shitty to each other?
Like how aren't they? Don't
Some
they
kind of
follow?
Monster? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, isn't that isn't that the famous thing?
I've never saw it, or the infamous therapy scene. So as we get into this, I want to emphasize two things. One, I have listened to one complete album from both of these. No, I've listened to two Metallica albums. Three Metallica albums in their completion. And,
hold on, which ones? You got to say which ones they are.
Death Magnetic.
Okay.
The new
right.
one. The new one.
Saint Anger? Is Saint Anger in there?
No, and the Black Album.
Okay.
Those are the only three Metallica albums I've ever listened in completion to.
Really? Have you never? You got? Yeah.
Like I know this. I know the big singles from their era when they were shred masters and getting drunk and falling over all the time. I'm aware of it, and I'm aware of the Metallica lore of their. I know what Metallica is, but I'm just not that well versed in them. And I've only listened to one Lou Reed album in completion, which was Transformer. I've listened to about 30 minutes of Metal Machine music, but that's
Phil, do you know about this album?
Vaguely. I'm not like. I'm always touchy with the Lou Reed stuff. Or Luke, as I call him.
Luke Reed.
Luke Reed. It's Luke Cage's brother.
Yeah, just Sweet Christmas.
But yeah, so then I've listened to Transformer, and I really wasn't a fan of Transformer. I thought it was heinously overhyped, and every time I've gotten into any debate about it, I've always argued that John Cale was the genius behind Velvet Underground and not Lou Reed. I have never gotten the Lou Reed appeal.
Yeah, it was all John Cale, 100%.
So you have these two artists that I really don't genuinely care about in an album together that's very, very, very long. It doesn't bode well for me from the get-go. No, this thing is destined to fail. I was Alex and I were talking about this album before, and the thing that the shocking realization that I came to is that the album cover is a perfect representation of what the album is, which you have Metallica representing the title, which sort of looks like shit smeared on a piece of glass, and then you have Lou Reed being the armless mannequin, just sort of shoved in the middle of it. And I think that perfectly encapsulates this album. This is another final album. This is the last album that Lou Reed appears on before his death. Really?
So yes. So this is the legacy that he left.
Ooh.
Ooh. And he was buried with it.
Yes, he was buried
with all the sheet music.
Wait, is that true? Because I want to believe this.
I don't know.
No, that would be incredible, though.
His coffin was lined with just that, and like load and reload.
So if
just all of this.
Here's a query for you guys: if there was a different band, but Lou Reed was still there, the industrial avant-garde metal thing was still there, do you think it would have worked? Do you think Metallica is the problem here?
Metallica is not the problem here. I am adamant on that to a point, or to a very strong point, because I would say there are a lot of moments in this album where Metallica actually puts on a pretty cool performance, and a very different performance than I'm aware of. So like the song Little Dog, and Junior Dad had this ambient, sprawling nature, which is very anti-Metallica as far as I know Metallica.
Yes.
And so in
100%.
that regard, I'm like, there's some really cool creative ideas. The problem is Lou does not care about the context of the music. That for me is the cornerstone of it. It's not that he doesn't. It's not that his singing is atrocious, because I listened to enough Can to moot me from that argument where Damo Suzuki just yelps like a drunk dog on a coke binge. Lou Reed, but he's always with the music. He's sort of vaguely in tune with it. Lou is not. He's just screaming and hollering and just saying shit at random points. And there are brief moments where he's actually in line with it. And I'm like, I don't really care about this, but it's working. But most of the time, he's just jabbering on endlessly, and Metallica's like, what do we do with this? So allegedly, according to Wikipedia, which is the most historically accurate website ever, basically the album was recorded. They were just looking at each other like and recording it together in one session. But to me, it almost sounds like Metallica wrote this music. They gave it to Lou Reed, and Lou Reed's like, "Oh, here's some fucking lyrics. Just do whatever you want with this." And there was like no cohesiveness in this project. It feels like it sounds like if I were to take just the vocals from like Jay-Z's Black album and put him on top of Yes's Close to the Edge, like that's how it sounds to me.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear that.
Oh, that would be great.
I don't know. Like I was thinking about it, and I get that. I definitely agree with the point that, you know, like Lil Wayne, Metallica is trying for something different here, and they're almost making it. Pitchfork describes this album as a noble failure, which I would agree with.
I do like Chuck Klosterman's quote.
What is that?
Oh, it's right before it. He's actually a pretty good, funny writer. He talks about, and this kind of has the whole thing where it just kind of, his quote reflects to me like this feels like it's something that this is what progressive rock is supposed to be, or like, you know, avant-garde, whatever should be, right? What is it? Oh,
I would say this is
criticism.
textbook.
If
like,
the Red Hot... Sorry.
When people think of
you got
avant-garde music, I think this is the
Alex
type of
has
thing
it.
that comes to mind.
Oh yeah, if the Red Hot Chili Peppers acoustically covered the 12 Wars Primus songs for Starbucks, it would still be slightly better than this.
Yeah, and that's
But I think that like if this had been with like a Swans or a Godspeed You Black Emperor or I don't know, something like that, I think it might have worked. I think it might have worked a little bit better.
I think that's fair, because if you created something a little bit more nebulous where it didn't really matter what Lou Reed was doing, it would be so like if this was like Lou Reed and Merzbow, I'd be like, fuck it, whatever. This is these two idiots doing what these two idiots do, and I would like I would listen to it once because I'm morbidly curious and masochistic, and I would be content and done with it. But the problem is you have Metallica, which writes very as aggressive as they are and thrashy, whatever. They write pop structured songs. That's what they write. They have 12 guitar solos in them, but they write pop structured songs. There's a verse and a chorus, then guitar solo A, then verse, then guitar solo 12, and but that's the kind of music they write. And for them to create this much more spacious, ambient, sort of daring music, I give them a lot of credit. I think even without Lou Reed, this album would be probably 20 minutes too long, but I would think I'd be a lot more engaged and curious about what was being created here. Like if there was ever to be a Lulu minus Lou, just Lou, I guess.
Yeah.
Just ooh.
Why is it called Lulu?
It's based off a play or a series of plays by a German playwright from the late 1800s, which is that's got to be
of course
Lou Reed's prime contribution to this.
Yeah. What wasteful
I first read this with David Bowie in Berlin, 1976.
Sure you did, Lou. Sure you did. It's the 8th time you brought it up.
I need you to sing Out of Sync with me, James Hetfield. Can you do it? Yeah.
Are you up?
Small town girl.
Oh my God, that one. That was the one. It was weirdly. I don't know if I think they were out of time on that one. You know, you said before that none of everything is, these albums are produced properly and stuff, but I don't know. I think he was out of sync on that one.
You think so?
It kind of sounds like it. He's like coming in like half beats and like at weird moments and shit, you know?
Right.
That small town girl.
It almost works for me. I mean, this album starts off with Lou Reed going, "I would cut my legs and tits off when I think of Boris Karloff and Kinski. In the dark of the moon, it made me dream of Nosferatu, trapped on the island of Dr. Moreau. Oh, wouldn't be lovely." It is just like he might as well have just said, "Oh, this shit's Kafka-esque," because then he's just shoving every like pretentious book thing and play you could just like fucking go wrist deep in on. Jesus Christ! Like
I hate to go off on a tangent, but I had an interesting Kafka-esque experience last weekend where I said the word Kafka-esque, and this guy at a bar was like, "Oh, are you referencing Breaking Bad?" I was like, "No, I'm referencing Kafka."
Kafka. from Breaking Bad.
You could have been worse and said you were referencing Squid and the Whale, where they totally shit on the term Kafkaesque. Besides that film being garbage.
Oh, as well as Mission Hill.
Oh,
the cartoon.
There's a. Have any of you ever seen Squid and the Whale?
No, but I know a Bombeck, so we're already talking about someone who's like a Lou Reed inflated.
Yeah, it's like Lulu, the movie, featuring a bunch of shitty, miserable people I don't care about. But the dad is an author, and he uses the term Kafkaesque a couple times, and then the son starts using Kafkaesque, and then like his girlfriend or whatever. This was like 10 years ago. I saw this. The girlfriend's like, "What does that mean?" And he just pauses, and he has no idea. And I'm like, "Fucking yes, fuck yes."
It's like angular.
It's like angular riffs. What does that mean, you asshole?
They're are they right? Are they acute? I don't know.
Just this album is obtuse.
Yeah,
this album is 135 degrees
towards bullshit.
Yeah.
I think Alex. I mean, you both have a pretty swimming and appropriate criticism, but just trying to figure out. I think we're more this is more establishing a safe base of what we've listened to, and just we have to give it a name so we can kill it. That kind of like like old folklore kind of like, oh yeah.
For me, if I would give this album a name, it would be Man Spreading. This album is the equivalent of Man Spreading.
Yeah.
For me, this episode has been far less about these albums are terrible, because I mean, number one, it's been written about for all three of them. And it's what do we, and Kris said it best when we were initially discussing the concept. He goes, well, what's the point of us going, oh, track 1 sucked, track 2 sucked, because they all, like, especially on this album, there are only 2 songs that I'll say have like redeeming quality. Like, we know.
What would you say? Because I like the first track. I liked it because it's just acoustic guitar and Lou Reed singing. Even though it's like ridiculous stuff, I'm still like, okay, I can kind of get with that. And then it changes.
I wrote, so Little Dog's lyrics are embarrassing. Like, they are the peak of terrible, but the music in Little Dog is actually my favorite. And the one time I think the music almost works with Lou Reed. And then Junior Dad, again, being 20 minutes, Jesus Christ. But the music for Junior Dad is good, and Lou Reed on Junior Dad is least stupid. This album is 90 minutes long. I can't stress that. It is. If you were to put this album at half, like if it was 50% of its length, it was 45 minutes. I would again say it's not a good album, but I could forgive it. But it is asking you to go on this nonsense ride for 90 minutes. That is ballsy. It's
not just asking; it's daring you to waste your time. And it's like, oh, you want to shut it off? Go for it, asshole.
Like, if you were to buy this at a Sam Goody, you would finish Cheat on Me, and you'd be like, oh, I'm done. It'd be like, no, asshole. There's disc 2. There's fucking disc. It's like Final Fantasy 7. You didn't just fit. It's not done yet.
No, but I thought Sephiroth was dead. No. He's got like fucking 10 years worth of poetry, bad poetry. And he just wants to cram down your throat. And he's going to be killing a chocobo while he's doing it.
There's 6 forms of Genova you still have to kill.
Yeah, of course. The tendrils. Oh, I apologize. The tendrils of Lou Reed's obscene, just it's just like, oh, all right, I get it, I understand.
So that
you feel like you're a weird fucking monolith. I hope like someone like listening to this, I'm like, oh, I'm glad he died after, but I wish he was assassinated. Like this was just an excuse for someone to like get him in a room and be like, well, we might as well kill him now. He's just going crazy. It's like the robot is malfunctioning.
He's talking about cheating on himself. This guy makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know. He doesn't go with like any of the music. Like he defies it, and like whether that's what he's trying to do. It's like, yeah, great. So this is what we're wasting time and money for.
That's what I was talking about before. Like, weird avant-garde experimental stuff means we're gonna not go with the flow.
And it doesn't.
It's like that episode where George does everything the opposite.
Yeah. But it doesn't work in this case.
No, exactly. It doesn't work in the end of the Seinfeld episode either.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
If you got
but at least he has a period of it.
If you got the money, you can get to the top. The female dog don't care what you got. As long as you can raise that little doggy face to a cold-hearted pussy, you could have a taste.
Him and Lil Wayne should get together.
Yeah, actually, that sounds like verbatim. It's like from like Fire or something. But truth be told, I didn't even get like the second disc. I was like, ugh. And it was like, and I listened to these today, so I'm fresh off this hatred. So it just kind of like, I guess I could dive into disc 2 and just be like,
oh, so you didn't finish this?
Have a drink. No, I didn't. Like, I think I said at the top when I first got in, and when I just messaged you guys like fucking Lou Reed, because this was the last album I was listening to.
So I have 2 more thoughts on this album. One, and I told Kris this, but I have a genuine theory that Lars Ulrich, the drummer from Metallica, is not actually on this album. It to me sounds like either he was edited out or he was never there, and they just like went into Ableton and recorded a drum track, because these are the worst drums I can recall on a major label rock release in a very long. I know Lars is maligned for his drum work in general, but these are shockingly bad drums. They're mixed terribly, and every hit sounds the same. So it almost to me sounds like a pack of samples. Like, I would be not surprised if they're like Lars was out on a bender, and we just didn't want to bother with him, or we just never called him.
We're dealing with Lou Reed. It's hard enough. Let's leave Lars alone.
Oh no,
let's leave Lars. He's out there still suing Napster. Let's just walk away from this.
Mm-hmm. I would love to hear those guys together.
There is someone named Sarth Calhoun who's credited only as electronics. So that could be our ghost drummer right there.
The other question I have, going back to the Lou Reed, because the Metallica piece of it, I'm willing to walk away from it, because the Metallica part doesn't bother me. The Lou Reed part's what really hits me on this album. I have 2 threads on him, and I'm trying to make sense of it, and I don't know much about Lou Reed to give a good answer. Was he just going, how far can I go, and they're just going to put this album out? Like, I think of, Kris, this is an apt reference for you, like Despair, where Omar literally went, I dare you to put this album out, and they did. Like, I don't know if Lou Reed's just daring Metallica to do this, or somewhere in the back of his mind, he is going, I'm fucking nailing it. I am fucking nailing this album. Well,
2 things. One, I think I like Despair because the concept behind it, and so I don't think it's quite an apt comparison here. But Lou Reed is also quoted as saying that the album is for literate people.
Fuck you, Lou.
So, yep. So that should answer that question.
Well, then I wish I couldn't read.
That sounds like a lyric from this album. Like, if this world is for literate people, I wish I couldn't read.
Yeah. It's like, I could go left, so you go right. It's like the bullshit fucking... Oh, he thinks he's some sort of Zen master of garbage.
But he was allowed that because his fan base has that same smarminess of like,
of course.
Lou Reed, take a walk.
Everyone enables the shit out of him, and Metallica is implicit in enabling him here.
I think the best response I got from this was Robert Trujillo, who just said, love it or hate it, it's something that we enjoyed. Like, he had fun doing it. Fuck it. He got paid. He doesn't give a shit, whatever.
Yeah, why should they care? I mean, honestly, they shouldn't. If they like doing it and they had a good time, everyone can just fuck off. I mean, truly, the joke's on us.
No, I'd agree.
I also have to take offense that, so again, I'm looking at Wikipedia.
His picture on Wikipedia, by the way, he's holding a gun, which I love. Lou Reed.
During Lou Reed's posthumous induction to the Hall of Fame, his widow declared that David Bowie referred to Lulu as Reed's greatest work. Like, I feel like that's suspicious. Like, she's like, I heard David Bowie said he liked it. I'm like, did David Bowie say that? Or are you just saying David Bowie said that?
David Bowie also, I don't know. Maybe he just said a lot of things that were like, oh, it was just, he like said it, then snickered. And like, no, but really. Then she hung up the phone, and it's like, oh, that's all he had to say.
And he was like, no, I was just joking.
I was being facetious. Yeah, you dumb dog. I don't know. Maybe, and you know what? Maybe I can go back and be like, okay, it's this guy. And I love when people fuck with just a general audience, and like, I mean, they had the money just to do it. And Metallica, I mean, it said, reading the Wikipedia stuff and not really investigating any further, it seems like they became friends through just touring and doing shit. I'm sure they were in the same boat. Like, yeah, fuck it, we have enough money to do whatever we want, or to do whatever. I mean, people will buy it. So, I mean, who cares? And I do like that aspect a lot. And I also hate it. So, I mean, I'm also enraged, but also envious. So, what are you going to do? The two E's.
My worry is, as time progresses, because we're not well, Jesus Christ, this album is 7 years old.
2011.
Yeah, I forget.
Well, it's still not that.
It
feels like it's.
You're right.
But it feels like it's like a 15 to 20. Like, this was something. Like, they could have existed like 15 years ago or 20 years ago.
But I worry and wonder, as we get further away from this album, the Lulu apologists are going to slowly come out of the woodwork and are going to be like, this really was like a secret genius album, and people just didn't understand. Like, there's nothing to understand, but it's going to happen. Like, the same thing happened with Metal Machine Music, is the apologists wandered out of the woodwork, and we're like, well, we like Lou Reed, so we can forgive all the fucking nonsense he does. Artists make missteps. This is a misstep. On no level, or on very few levels, does this album work. It is a curiosity as to, like, I hope there's camera footage of this recording process, because I want to know.
I'm sure there is, and it's never coming out.
I'm
sure the suits were like, "Oh, we got to record this. We like this is incredible. Lou Reed and Metallica.
Right.
We got to show this to the world." And then they're like, "Oh, delete this."
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hope there's some sort of, or someone took a journal or some weird Thoreauian kind of bullshit. Just like
I've wandered to the woods. Herzog has his Fitzcarraldo journal.
Right.
Yeah,
about
exactly.
how Klaus Kinski tried to kill him.
Yeah. Like Lou went for Lou took out his dick again and just started yelling into it like it was a microphone. It's just like, what?
I feel dry and spermless. As he yells into his dick.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, cool. All right, let's try that again without the dick, and go.
I'm not understanding.
Yeah. Poor engineer. Poor fucking whoever has to deal with that shit. Just in there, like, we gotta deal with these. We had to deal with Metallica and Lou Reed. Fan-fucking-tastic.
The guy who is sitting like behind the mixing board looks like Greg Fiddleman. He's just sitting there like, oh, Jesus, fuck, what am I doing? He had to listen to every rehearsal of this, like every false start, every off beat. He's had to be like, all right, pumping blood, take 20, and we're rolling. As he's slowly drinking himself into oblivion.
Yeah. Well, I imagine like part of his body just like dissipated, like he just like split in half, and one just went out, and just like, see you later. I'll just when you're done, call me. I'll come back. And just
maybe
like
that's what happened with Lars. He just couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
He just exploded.
Just yeah.
It's like, maybe. I don't fucking care. Get a Roland 808 or something.
Yeah.
Do we have to pay the Roland? No. Great. We're fucking doing it.
Get that sippy bird in here. Just put it on.
Oh God. Kris, I'm angry at you for making me have to listen to this a second time in my life, but I could host an entire podcast about talking about Lulu for a long time, because it's a fascinating record. It's
man-spreading.
It is, yes.
Man. Goddamn Lou Reed.
Apparently, there's a guy who wrote a review for something called Volcanic Tongue, which I've never heard of, and he said that this is the best thing ever done by anybody. And he adds, Lulu is more Lou Reed than Lou Reed, and that surely means that this is the best thing ever done by anybody.
I mean, I might agree with it. Might be the most Lou Reed thing he ever did. But, for me, that's also like, took the corniest shit I've ever taken and just, like, yeah, there's a lot of corn in that shit, but it's still shit filled, or shit with corn, so.
It's mostly corn, so that makes it a corn.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look at that. Well, time to flush it.
In looking in the reviews, there's sort of two camps. The people who are just like, this is ridiculous, and then the people who are just like, sew up Lou Reed's ass that they're like, well, therefore it means Lou Reed was the secret genius for creating this. Like, they cannot get over the fact that this was just a bizarre concoction due to methamphetamine and whiskey.
Well, even it just feels like he's kind of just placed there.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like he has anything to do with it besides just ranting. His dumbass poetry.
Well, and that's the part that also boggles my mind, too, is like the lyrics are just insane. They are insane lyrics.
That's coming from someone who listens to Death Grips.
This is coming from
but not fun insane. Not like, thought-provoking insane. More just ramblings.
Right, like, I could put on Stefan Burnett in Death Grips, his nonsense gibberish goes along with the chaos that's ensuing. Like, if I were to put this on in front of anyone over 40, I'd be like, I'm so sorry in advance, but Lulu is gonna be the next. Like, if I wanted to piss off everyone at the bar, I'd put Lulu on the jukebox.
I'm kind of coming into the apologetics territory because, like, I'm looking at this one lyric, and I'm like, I could totally see this being in a Death Grips song and, like, enjoying it. I cry icicles, heartbeats flutter, abnormal rhythm. I wish I could kill you. Like, you could totally hear MC Ryan doing that.
You are totally right. You're absolutely right.
I wish I could kill you. And then Zach goes crazy. That's what we need. We need the Death Grips cover album, Lulu.
Yeah, you need a consolidation.
I would pay for the entire production costs of that album.
$2?
To hear Zach Hill, Stefan Burnett, and Andy Morin go into the studio and do their own reimagining of Lulu. I will pay for it. All
right, you heard it. You heard it here first.
The cast is out there. Let's see if they bite.
Any final thoughts on these three things?
I'm glad that I have. I'm genuinely glad that I listened to these albums because there was no other way that I was going to do it, and they were a fun, horrible roller coaster, which is exactly what I wanted them to be. So I got what I wanted out of it. I don't know about you guys.
Having heard Lulu, I was upset that I had to go back to Lulu because it is just it's not a fun listen for me. Doo-Bop is, I'm gonna forget it in probably 2 weeks. It was a very meh footnote. I am gonna say that I did really like having to listen to Lil Wayne's Rebirth because under no other context would have I picked it up, and it is a treat due to every bad decision that's made and the adolescent style naivete that allowed its inception. Like, it is special in all sorts of wrong ways, and I do thank you for making me explore this gibberish nonsense.
That is your rebirth.
Yeah, no, I agree and concur with all. If it weren't for this, I wouldn't have been able to listen to the Lou Reed Metallica album. I didn't even know about the Doo-Bop album and or Lil Wayne, and this being my first real sit down listen to Lil Wayne as an album gives me a whole new perspective. If just like as the comedian Brian Posehn talks about having his son listen to Weird Al's "Eat It," or giving that to his son, having his son listen to it, and then the kid listens to Michael Jackson's "Beat It" and being thoroughly confused. Like, this will be the same for me when I listen to Lil Wayne.
You're gonna listen to Lollipop. As a rapper. You're gonna listen to Lollipop and be like, "Wait a minute, someone's tricking me."
Yeah, what's going on? Where are the weird 80s or just 90s shitty power punk band guitars? But no, and that album actually, honestly, that album isn't it's. You could be like, yeah, that's bad, but it's not an offensive. To me, the offense in that is it just being boring and just a stupid machismo shit. But the Lou Reed, and as a Metallica fan from the first 4 or 5 albums, and acknowledging their best stuff as being surfer metal kind of thing.
Interesting take.
Well, I mean, Kill 'Em All is a great it's great weird California.
I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from on that.
And just listening to the Lou Reed stuff, and I don't, and I like what Kris has to say about how them trying to be Mars Volta, which a lot of people can say Mars Volta is as pretentious. But I would like to think they just don't necessarily talk about it. They just do it, and they just, whether you like it or not, I mean, it's there and it's musically. You can't not be impressed by the way they perform.
Oh
even
yeah,
if you don't like the stuff.
I'm a huge fan, and
I enjoy them
totally
too.
acknowledge that they're super pretentious, but like they succeed, and it's like I don't know, like the cocky character in like an action movie. It's like Han Solo. It's like he's a dick, but it's smooth at the same time. Whereas if he was just a dick, period, like no one would like him, and like that's what I feel that Lulu is in this context.
No, I think you're right. Competency has a lot to do with it, or like knowing like what works for you. Like if you're like kind of an ass, but that it's kind of measured a little bit by your talent and how you deliver it. It's if you can live with it, and also it adds an airness of like, oh, okay, there's a tinge to it that I understand more where they're coming from, and it seems to fuel their talent and or what they're saying. And I'm glad, like, and Alex said it too, like the music for it, which I want to kind of go revisit and listen to the rest of it, like, is like, oh, there's some cool stuff they do. Because I also really love, like, Ride the Lightning's a great album because there's a lot of weird, like, acoustic stuff in it, and just like it goes beyond a little bit what they're trying to do, and even like Injustice for All.
That's the first one where they bring the acoustic guitars in, right?
I believe so, yeah. And there's a lot of weird, like, it's Metallica, despite what people might say, like they weren't cock rock, and they were different than most metal bands of like that of the 80s variety that were kind of more popular. And they actually gained popularity more so like in like the late 80s, early 90s. But I mean, I have to go back and check like some of that music, the Lulu stuff, just to be like, okay, this music is all right, and see if we can
got
find
a whole disc.
Yeah, got a whole new continent to traverse of Lulu. But yeah, no, but thank you for having me on and make me look at this. And actually, it is like hallucinogenic, where you're just kind of like, oh, what the fuck? Like, what is it about my life that measures up to this, or what have I done to offend so many people?
Yeah, my ego is definitely dead.
yeah.
I've experienced ego death, ego rebirth, ego re-death. My ego is dried spermless.
Yeah.
Like a girl.
I think dried spermless is my new soft and milky, I think. Terry has been taken down. And now we have Lou Reed.
We do have Lou Reed. Lou Reed can't be unexisted.
Can't erase
Well,
that.
actually, he's dead, so he has been, kind of.
But his legacy. His legacy. His
over...
Oh, God.
His overwrought poetry. That's... well,
there's a notebook of Lou Reed lyrics where he's like, fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Is that the title of it?
Yes.
Nailed
it just says on his high school trapper keyboard, fucking nailed it.
Yeah. And there's one of those, like, S's, too.
Yeah.
S drawings.
I'm a delightful piece of shit. Lou Reed.
Is that what it says on his tombstone?
Yeah. The epitaph. Well,
I bet
David
you
Bowie thinks I'm cool. And then,
David Bowie likes me.
yeah.
I'm still confused how Iggy Pop outlived all of them. He's the only one alive.
I don't know. He's murdered.
I could see him being crazy and also like eating vegan at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
And
he just like
care of
eats the
himself.
right things. His craziness is sort of like an exercise regimen, and so that keeps that in check.
Yeah.
And he did just enough drugs to be crazy and not die. He's the perfect storm.
And never wear a shirt. He is the perfect storm.
Never wear a shirt. Yeah, that's it. His secret is that his body doesn't overheat.
No,
That's a good point. Good point.
It's like a chainmail that keeps everything away.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Phil, do you have any shout-outs, any projects that people can turn to that you produce?
Oh, I have a short playing at the Boston Underground Film Festival in a little under 2 weeks. It's on March 23rd at the Brattle Theater. And I also help run the Boston Underground Film Festival's dispatch of screeners, or screenings, which run usually Depends. We might be doing the second Thursday of the month at the Somerville Theater in Massachusetts, but we'll see. Might change up, but you can check out that online. And I also help run a series of screenings called Boston Open Screen. It is the only open mic night for filmmakers in Boston and in New England, I think. And that's at the Coolidge Corner Theater, and that's at the second Tuesday of the month at the Coolidge Corner Theater. You can check it out on Facebook, Boston Open Screen. And yeah, there's a bunch of other shit, but that's a major. Oh, and there's a doc I did that Kris has seen and has been nice enough to tell me his thoughts on it without a Lou Reed diatribe. And it's called My Name is Jonah Film. Well, it's called My Name is Jonah, but you can go to the website, mynameisjonahfilm.com. So
Jonah is a fan of Hawkwind, Alex, so
he
take
is.
note.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Hawkwind's great.
Hawkwind is great.
Kris, why didn't we listen to Hawkwind, goddammit?
Because Hawkwind is too good. That's why.
Yeah.
Where was the
Phil,
Hawkwind Lou Reed collaboration?
Oh, and it might have
I don't know.
Lemmy, I think. Didn't Lemmy and Lou Reed do something, or am I?
I could see that. I could see them being on some like compilation you get with like Tyson chicken wings or something.
Oh, look, it came with a CD.
Eat this chicken,
A lot of
you
chicken comes with
slut.
CD.
They eat the chicken. The chicken clucks.
I am the chicken.
Get
It
on
don't
that
look
chicken
like my
pussy.
cock.
This chicken pussy. This chicken pussy.
Man. On a loop.
So if one of the members of the audience is not able to attend this screening of your new short, is it going to be screened at other occasions that they might be able to catch that on?
Yeah, other festivals that will be able to catch it. And we're actually, usually we do make a short and then we have it run the film festival circuit. And then when that's done, we usually have it online or have it part of a compilation. Someone maybe will purchase the rights for a couple of years. We actually are in the middle of talking about selling distribution rights to a short we did called Dissolving Man, which is pretty great. You can say it's pretentious, but it's actually just a lot of like fun body horror stuff that's based in the 80s. It's like a short film we based in the 80s, and it's a lot of fun, a weird, fun, like Cronenberg-y body horror flick. We had a lot of fun.
Well, I hope it comes back up soon because I've been speaking personally. I would like to attend that screening, but I unfortunately can't make it.
Cool. Kris, you got anything to plug?
Got nothing to plug.
Well, you didn't tell me we were like in the presence of someone who does like real shit.
He does real things. Phil Healy does realthings.com.
Kinda, sorta.
Does
That
real
is.
things.
That's a full domain.
I'm gonna
/home.
/home, yes. Well, thank you.
.php. I'm going to end on one last random factoid that I'm finding as I'm clicking through Metallica Wiki as you guys are talking. Kris, you mentioned that there's a Metallica Mars Volta connection that you were hypothesizing, but I wanted to just bring one more random connection between the two bands that we may not have noticed. Apparently, in 1984, they used to use Ennio Morricone's music as its concert introduction. So there is a...
Yeah.
That is... I do know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's...
They didn't use the same song, though.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good.
They used the track from the Mexican standoff at the end of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Got
Or
it.
no, it's when Tuco comes running up into the graveyard at the very end. Spoilers. There's a graveyard. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, shit.
And someone goes running into it.
Fuck.
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
All right, guys.
Appreciate you guys coming along on this almost nearly 2-hour journey of craziness.
sorry about
Did
that.
it.
No, it's...
We did it, though.